Hello everyone, welcome back. This is Ricky. With today's recipe, I am making a Swiss vegan roll. This recipe is very easy and doesn't take much effort whatsoever. The reason I'm making this today is I'm actually going to need this for a recipe that I'll be making next, which is my lemon curd meringue trifle. So this will be added to that recipe. But to make it a little bit easier, I've decided to separate the two videos so it's not so complicated and blah-blah-blah. For the Swiss roll today, I'm going to be making it a vanilla roll, and then we're going to be filling it with some strawberry jam and some coconut flakes, and then rolling it up and dusting with some icing sugar. If you plan on making this a chocolate cake instead of vanilla, just add 2 heaped tablespoons of cocoa powder and maybe add a little bit extra non-dairy milk, and that should be it. So let's get started. Before we get started, preheat the oven at 180 degrees Celsius. Start off by mixing all the dry ingredients. In a large bowl, add in the flour, followed by the corn flour, then the sugar, and finally the baking powder, baking soda, salt, and turmeric. The turmeric is added just for color. Because there are no eggs in it, we want there to be a little bit of a yellow tinge like a traditional cake. Get a can of chickpeas and separate the liquid from the chickpeas. Sieve the liquid so we don't get any large chunks in the liquid. Now let's get started in mixing the wet ingredients. So to a bowl, add in your non-dairy milk, add in the aquafaba, 2 teaspoons of vanilla extract, followed by 1 tablespoon of apple cider vinegar, and the melted butter. Mix until incorporated. A quick trick in baking. For the most part, you should always separate your dries from your liquid. Mix your dry ingredients all together first, and then your wet ingredients, and then combine the wet with the dry. When you're mixing, make sure you don't overmix. Just incorporate until all combined. We don't want to overmix because that could affect the texture of your cake. And this rule mostly applies to most cakes out there. The next thing we're going to do is incorporate the wet ingredients with the dry and give this a whisk until it's just incorporated. Get a fairly large flat oven tray like this and add some baking paper to it. In order for the baking paper to stick to the tray, I add a little bit of butter all over just so it sticks. So what we're going to do now is evenly distribute the batter over the tray. My tray is a bit large and the batter doesn't fit the whole way through, but don't worry, it will still work. Add this to the oven for about 10 to 15 minutes. Make sure that you check regularly because the batter is so thin, this is going to bake fairly quickly. The cake is ready. It's been in the oven for just about 10 minutes. So we're going to let this cool, so set this aside. While it's cooling, get a clean tea towel. Sprinkle a clean tea towel with icing sugar. Once the cake is cool enough to handle, remove the baking paper and the cake together, then flip it on top of the tea towel with the icing sugar. Now gently remove the baking paper. Now gently roll the cake with the tea towel. Now set your cake aside for an hour or 2 just to make sure that it cools down completely. Let's have a look at the Swiss roll. It's been in the fridge for about an hour or 2. Gently unwrap. Make sure not to break it. It's kind of breaking. It's okay, let's see if we can get away with this. It's breaking! Why is it breaking? You know what? I'm not going to let this stop me. I'm going to continue. You know what? This is going to be fun. It's going to be fine. Let me not stress out. So I'm putting some strawberry jam and coating it all over this. Swiss roll, you were pale, but that's okay. That's okay. You look like a veil. You look like a veil. Desiccated coconut. Sprinkle that all over this. Let's roll this back up. The Swiss roll was a little bit of a thing. Like it broke up and I don't know why. From that angle it looks okay. But then you turn it around Fumble. Nailed it. Whatever. This is going to be cut up into slices and placed inside of a trifle anyways, so I don't care. I don't know what went wrong, something went wrong, but as soon as I started to unroll it, it started to break. I had it in the fridge to cool down. Maybe that was my mistake, maybe I shouldn't have done that, or maybe I rolled it too soon while it was still quite hot. You know, these things happen. So let's just continue. As long as it tastes okay, that's all that matters, okay? I'm gonna have a taste of this and see what it was like. You know what? It might not look pretty, but it tastes good. It tastes like cake and jam. The cake is nice and fluffy. It's cooked well. It's nice and moist. The jam goes well with it. The coconut too goes with it. The only thing that's really a problem is the fact that it just didn't unroll itself properly and it became a little bit of a mess over there. And also the color turned red from the turmeric when it was meant to turn it yellow. But whatever, it doesn't look that bad. But I don't know what went wrong. Maybe if you know what I did wrong, please place it in the comments. But overall, the flavor's good, the taste is good. But there was something that I just stuffed up. But the flavor is good. It's cake. Anyways, this is going to be used in my trifle video next, so stay tuned for that. And until next time, bye.